Hi everyone, my name is Heather and I'm the person behind Happy Puppy Truffles. Today I wanted to share with you guys an origami that you can use to make your very own milk carton box. Now this box can be used for lots of different purposes and you can actually do this project with pretty much any size paper and kind of change, how tall the box winds up being. So I'm just going to kind of show you guys how it works with these two sheets of paper. This is 17.5 by 17.5. This is 15 by 15. You keep the same dimensions for both, and then you just wind up getting a little extra height on the larger piece of paper. Now you can certainly use different size papers and kind of play around with how big you do things this way, but this was just my kind of approach to a carton. Now it does require some glue. This is not an actually pure origami by any means. I know there's some other fun milk carton boxes available out there. For example, one by Makoto Yamaguchi, which is a great one. Basically, what we're doing here is starting off with some preliminary creases. You want to start off by folding your paper in half and fold it in half again. And then I'm going to go ahead with the color side facing up and fold it in half both vertically and horizontally as well. And these creases will help later when I kind of collapse the box down. So get all this done. And then I'm going to go ahead with the color side facing down, fold it in half so that I'm looking at this triangle part here. Ideally, what I want to do is create a box in the middle of this paper that's about 3.75 by 3.75, which is basically a fourth of the size of paper I'm using. Now, I want that to sit and rest nicely here if I'm looking at my paper like a diamond. And so the one easy way to do that is with the paper folded in half, I'm just going to fold up here to create a big, nice, long crease at a halfway point of 3.75, which is about 1.8. So if you happen to have a ruler, you can take that and measure up here. And I don't think it hurts too much to put a little mark on it, but if you're worried about, leaving marks on your paper, you can use a pencil and erase it later. But I'm just going to mark it right here. And I personally think it works better if you fold up and then you can see where that is, and that gives it a little easier go of marking that off. So you pinch that off, line up your centers, and then try to keep it as parallel as you can. This is a tricky part. It's easy to accidentally get it going at a slope, but you want to try to fold it there like so. Now, if you open things up and you fold the other way, you'll notice that you don't need to measure this side because we already have the places where the creases go through here that go and show us the part of where to make the fold. So I'm just going to kind of fold up here, following the creases I see hiding underneath to make sure that I get this laid out nice and straight. And it should give me, then when I open everything, a nice little square right in the middle here. That's going to be the base of my carton. Now I want to make sure that all of these creases that go around where the base of my carton are all mountain creases. So some of them will be and some of them won't be. Half and half. So just make sure those two that aren't right, make sure you reverse them so that they are right. So we've got both of those going. You should have these nice little diagonal creases here. That's where we're going to be folding in to create the edge of our box. And I'll show you guys how to do that later. There's lots of different ways you can do this. If you find a different way that you prefer, that's totally fine. But essentially we're going to be folding it up and then kind of collapsing the top to look like a carton. Now, if we open things up here for a second, one thing I know I want to do is eliminate this edge that I have. I don't need points at the top of my carton, so I'm just going to fold in all these edges. And get kind of that part kind of going. You can use the creases here as a guide and the one in the middle too to kind of make sure that you're getting things going about the same here. And then I'm going to fold things in half for a second. What I want to do is just fold down this part just a little bit here because I'm going to create the tip of the carton that you see on the very top. And this really just needs to be like a ½ centimeter. So I'm just going to roll my paper up here. And you want it to go make a valley crease. So make sure both sides are going the right way. And then I want to try to, go ahead and fold it back out again. I want to try to mimic how much of a crease I did here when I do the other side too. And you know, if it's really worrisome to you, if you're doing it the same, you can measure it, but it is such a small amount. I think usually you can kind of eyeball it and it'll be okay. So I get that part folded over. That's the part that's going to serve as the top part of my carton. And then I'm going to also create the edge here where the carton folds inwards. So I need to create a nice valley crease here actually. And with the 15 by 15 centimeter paper, a good place to do this is right at this point where the crease is hit. So essentially what you're going to be doing is folding down and bringing that tip, that edge that we just folded over, right up to that first crease. So I'll just make a nice crease going through here. And I'll do the same thing here. And actually, I'm sorry, it needs to be a mountain crease, not a valley, because we want it to stand like this. So get this part folded in here. And this is the part where when you're doing the other size, you'll need to change the way you're doing that. So let me just get that part and show you guys all the other steps that we've been doing here. No matter what size paper you're using, you're going to use the same kind of approach, have the same base of 3.75, fold over just a tiny bit here. That's all going to be the same. I'll just show you guys the difference now from now on as I use the 17.5 by 17.5 too. So you can see I've got the creases set here now so that they're the same, and I have the same size base, the same tip kind of folding, and I just need to make the body a little longer. And I've already kind of marked off here and made a crease, but basically what we're doing, because of the 3.75 for the base, I just make this part 2.75, which gives a little extra centimeter there at the top for folding over and stuff. So just a simple kind of thing to remember in terms of proportions. And I've marked it off and I folded it over. And then you can also fold the next one and just use your eyes to kind of guide you, because you want to have equal distance here on this side too. So you don't necessarily have to fold everything. You can just eyeball it until you see that it looks like it's a nice balanced amount here for both sides of this crease. And that will give us the edges that we need then to make our completed carton here. So get this part kind of folded over first. So I've got the beginning creases then for everything here. I'll just go back to showing you guys with this smaller one first. What we're going to be doing is you just need to pick two opposite sides. Is going to be the parts that have the little section that pinches in. And if you look here with the color side facing out, that part is going to crease here and create a valley crease if you're looking at it with the paper side, the color side facing up. And I'm just looking at this little section here, this little rectangular space that's right underneath that little bit we folded to create the top part of the carton. Now I want to create a diagonal crease that goes from right in the middle right down to this edge. So this part you just kind of have to eyeball it, give it a pinch, roll it down, and don't worry if you go a little too beyond things, that's okay too, but we do want to create a nice crease that goes from each of those points. That'll help it so that when you collapse it, it has a little better chance of collapsing the right way. And we can get both of those kind of going here to help things go. And I'll do this side too. And this step is the same if you're doing the other one too, and you're actually dealing with the exact same amount of space, because that part for the proportion of things is the same. It's just the body length that gets longer. So try to get this part marked off there so that I've got the creases all completed. And now we're just going to collapse it all together. And when you do this, what I like to do is, because I want to make this part really easy to fold and pinch in, what I'm going to do is double up my sides on the sides that don't have those creases. What I mean is I'm going to start here and collapse these two sides into here together. Now some people prefer, when they do this kind of a box technique, to just alternate and always push to the right, push to the right, push to the right. And that's certainly a way you can do this, but I just find in terms of the sturdiness of things and stuff like that, it just worked easier for balance to make it so that both of these come together like true box kind of fashion. Now if we're doing the 15 by 15, the nice thing is that when you do this, each of these edges comes nicely almost to, if not just shy of the side, which makes for a nice construction so that you don't have to worry about things sticking out weird or overlapping. And essentially we'll just put a little bit of glue on each of those so that we can really secure that side, and then I'll do the same thing on the other side so that that part gets contained. And then we can worry about collapsing everything else when we're finished. Now this is the part where you might want to use, like I said, we'll want to use some glue. You could also use tape if you want to make it quicker. If you're looking to make something that lasts a little longer though, you want to put some glue on here. And I'm just going to start off first by putting a little bit here on this edge. I'm just going to put this triangle here that you see, that part that's going to first fold in. And when I flip this over, this whole big triangle here, I want this all to stick together nicely. So you wind up sticking some glue down on the paper. That's why you want to make sure to use a paper. You don't want to ruin your desk. But again, make sure you're not coming in on the side that has those creases to collapse the side. But we're going to just go ahead and pull this in. It gets a little sticky. But we're going to just pull this in on this side until we can create a nice clean edge with a really good amount of glue here. And I'm just going to repeat those steps on the other side too. So I'll put a little bit of glue in the center. And on this time, because we're dealing with a three-dimensional piece now, you're just going to have to put a little bit of glue. You're just going to have to risk the fact that your left hand is going to get a little sticky when you do this. It might be nice to have like a little towel around or something to help you if you need it. But we just want to kind of give ourselves a chance to collapse this down and get these edges lined up as much as we can. And that should give a nice, completed, closed off, clean edge to our box. And I'm just going to repeat those steps then on the other side too here. And again, like I said, you just want to kind of glue this one side first. And I just go ahead and do the gluing for both sides now because I know that I'm going to be collapsing probably both sides almost together because of the pull of the project. But we'll just get a little bit of glue here and a little bit of glue here. And then we'll just collapse everything. And you've got the creases going for you, so you can kind of get things started a little and then push down into the middle. And then just kind of smush it down on the inside. Should have a nice clean connection there. Now if you want to, you can do some extra special steps here to make sure everything is secure by taking these flaps that you've got, and these are probably slightly snagged by some of the folding we've done, but to be honest they're not that secure. And as you fold some of these other parts in the next step, you might notice some of it popping out. So it might be good to just go ahead and fold it out for a second, put a tiny little bit of glue just on the top part there so that you could get all of these to stick down the way they need to. But this should help kind of make things a little more sturdy for everything. Okay. And if you find that some of these top parts don't have enough glue for your liking, you can just put a little bit more there to try to keep things really secure all the way from top to bottom. That will really make things keep their construction better for when we do collapse it down into the little creases. I know it's nice to have things kind of clean, you don't want things popping out, and that just depends on how much you were able to get glue on there when you're holding it in your hands. But that should give us what we need for the completed part here. And then all we need to do is take what we've got here, and we've got the creases we already need. You can kind of see here and remind the crease by just pushing down a little, getting that to recognize that edge once. By just pushing down, you're just holding your boxes together and just reminding, you know, where the crease is. So I can kind of get that. And then, like I said, I've got these creases too. Basically, it's coming together right there with those two coming in, and then this part pinches in the middle. And that you might need to kind of re-crease a little because it might be going the wrong way. But you could kind of see what you want to be looking for here when you pinch that together at the top. And we'll just do that for both sides here. Try to collapse both of those parts together, pinching in and bringing it to the center, like I said, and you've got then that nice little top part at the top to serve as the secured part for the box. Now there's a couple options for this if you want. You can fold this over kind of and create a sort of like snagging for this as you secure it. You can kind of make it like a bag like that. You can leave it standing up. You can also kind of open it to make it look like a real milk carton. I like doing that. Just have this part pop out here and create a crease that goes the other way. And that kind of can be fun because then it looks like an actual pourable milk carton that way. So a couple ways that you can use this technique to make a milk carton, and I'm going to try to create a printable for you guys so that you can make this and create your own. This is sort of like a school lunchbox size, and if you follow all these steps you'll get something that is larger with a 17 by 17 paper. Now when you're doing the steps for this part, you'll notice that this part kind of extends beyond our edge, and there's a couple different ways you can deal with that. I just leave it straight out and then just have it fold over. But if you prefer, you could fold it all the way halfway through. It just depends on the kind of weight of the edge of the paper that you want to have here. I'll go ahead and finish assembling this and show you guys how things look when it's done. So when you're finished with the other size, this is kind of what you wind up getting, and you can see the difference in the height and such. Most of the dimensions are the same, it's just a little taller, so it creates more of a realistic looking milk carton, whereas this looks more like, you know, the smaller size you get when you go to school. So those are the two kind of resulting things depending on the size paper you're using. I'm also going to have a printable to share with you guys, and I'm probably going to be doing this version here. Later on, if I do some stuff like with lunches and things, I might do a small one like this with chocolate milk. But for right now, I think I'm going to focus on just getting the milk one ready for you guys. So yeah, that's just kind of one little idea of a box design that looks like a milk carton, obviously. So I'll have some more fun things like this to share with you guys in the days to come. Thanks again always so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye!